Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Welcome to episode number 104 of the Batman on Film Social Hour podcast. Yes, this, of course, is a BatmanOnFilm.com podcast. Obviously, I am the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Ramey, and the Social Hour is my little old neck of the woods podcast here at Batman on Film. And today I'm joined by two senior BOF contributors, Javi Trujillo and Ryan Lauer. How you doing, boys?
Trying to stay warm. How about you guys?
Same. Here in the Midwest, up in Indiana, I think we're used to these temps, whereas maybe in Texas they're not as familiar. Nonetheless, it's still freaking cold.
It's low 20s here. We're in the midst of a winter storm, ice storm. Everything's shut down. It just, as I've said many times, announcer Rachel's from Minnesota, and she laughs at this, because it does when we have this winter weather and it's only once or twice a year, it just shuts everything down because there's just not the infrastructure. There's no street snow plows. They gravel the roads. There's no salt, any of that, that they're used to up in the Midwest, up north. Just don't have it here. So everything comes to a screeching halt. And this is supposed to started Monday, and it's lasting until tomorrow around noon.
See, and on the flip side of that, you come to the summers maybe, and maybe Minnesota hits, triple digits, and the Texans are kind of like,
yeah, exactly.
We experience this all the time.
The opposite, yeah.
So
I've been
the universe balances itself.
I've been up there in July, and it'll be like 88. Excuse me, and they're going, oh, it's hot up here. You betcha. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? I need a jacket,
So I say you show up in a tracksuit. What are you guys talking about? It's chilly.
Yeah.
It's a little nipply.
So how is it down in Austin? Y'all, it's not as bad as up here, huh?
No, it's going to be a very balmy 34 today. Right now it's 32, but its real feel is like 21. Precipitation supposed to continue all day. I can see some ice hanging from like our roof right now, looking out the front window. It was supposed to be done yesterday, and the winter storm warning got pushed into today, and now it's tomorrow. Whole city shut down pretty much.
It's weird.
The buses aren't running.
It runs from Central Texas on up through North Texas. Kind of misses that, that layer, that Southeast Texas, Houston area kind of got spared. So whatever, here we go.
You'll thaw out. I just want another glacier in your driveway. That's all I ask.
There is one. I mean, there's probably about 3-4 inches of ice covered the driveway and the street. I mean, you literally could play hockey out there. I'm not exaggerating whatsoever. So
wow.
No snow, all ice and freezing rain. All right. So big news yesterday, James Gunn and Peter Safran Monday had a press event at the Warner Brothers lot in Burbank, and announced what are they calling this? The first wave of DC
Chapter 1.
Chapter 1. Okay. Chapter 1 of DC, the DCU live action TV movies, of course, and with some animation in there as well, all connected I do want to say, I want to pat myself on the back and thank James Gunn as well for taking my advice and creating a separate banner for DC movies that are not part of the connected DCU. They went with Elseworlds.
I thought he was going to say the Ramey verse.
DC, yeah, Ladkoff.
Ladkoff, yes.
Sir.
There we go.
Dust off the original.
But no, it's Black Label. I'm sorry, I keep calling it Black Label because that's what we have now in the comics. Elseworlds has kind of gone away. But there's a separate banner for things like the Batman films, the Joker, and hopefully, and we'll talk about that when we get there, hopefully some other things besides Batman stuff I'd like to see given the Black. Here I go again with Black Label.
Yeah.
Elseworlds treatment. Just real quick. Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? And we don't have to address it until we get to the Batman. So I think it's a smart idea myself.
Well, I heard the rumor that James Gunn had lunch with you and had said something about really liking the Batman chapter by chapter series. So that's why with the DCU, he went with chapters instead of phases.
Sure.
So that's another pretty big influence that you had there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really interesting way that they rolled it out. I guess there was a press junket for some select media outlets that went for about an hour. So we've got a few different articles that are addressing different points with different quotes. But the main thing was like a 5-minute video that was on YouTube and on James Gunn's Twitter, where he just kind of laid it all out.
Yeah.
And it was very matter of fact. He said fantastic and marvelous quite a bit, which certain adjectives just kind of connect me to the MCU, which I thought was interesting. But I really liked the diversity that little thing had, and it raises a lot of questions in terms of like where these specific takes are going. And I was really surprised that Superman, for a movie that's not even finished, and they made emphasis like we're not going to greenlight things until we have a script, how they're working on the script, but we have a July 11th, 2025 release date. Yeah. Which, given how I would assume how effects heavy that movie's going to be and how slow VFX production houses have been because of the pandemic, it feels really ambitious that we're going to get a Superman movie the relaunching everything, so it's pivotal in 2.5 years. I find that really remarkable.
All right, let me go through the lineup here, and what I want to do is get quick takes on this stuff, and then I want to focus on the Batman news, not the Batman, but Batman news, because there's two different Batman on film things we have to talk about here. And the guys, Garrett and Justin and those guys, who else was on there? Was Haas on there?
I think.
Yeah. And Eric, there's a Batman on Film podcast dropping at the same time. Basically, is this social hour that's going to deal more with the overall DC, where we're going to focus on Batman. So real quick, as Javi was just talking about, their Superman Legacy, July 11th, 2005. That's been written by James Gunn. We already knew about this. We didn't have a date. Safran is kind of nudging him to direct as well. I think he'll end up directing myself. Quick take, Ryan, on the Superman.
Great. I liked everything that he had to say about it and what this Superman stands for. And Bill, you and I just last month, now in January, this is pretty surprising that it's coming in July of 2025, because you and I, when we spoke last month, were like, oh man, I don't even see the end of 2025. That's too soon. So it's pretty surprising.
Absolutely. Yeah. Javi, real quick on Superman, anything else you want to add to that?
No, I just in general for the whole presentation, really quick, but touching on it, they don't have anyone cast yet except for Amanda Waller, So it makes sense that when they talked about Superman, they showed a cover from All-Star Superman and, you know, other various comic titles, but they leaned really heavily into the comic aspect in their presentation, even showing comic Amanda Waller, not Viola Davis. So I think that it's interesting that we're going to get this hopefully more comic influenced approach and promotion of the medium. But I'm really curious with Legacy. The title Superman Legacy brings up a lot of different things right now, because we have two Supermen in the comics, a father and son. We've got this other Superman project that Coates is working on, which also hints at legacy. And then there's the legacy of what's come before, his Kryptonian legacy. Like it raises lots of intriguing possibilities about where he's going to go with this. But I think he's got, from the little press quotes he gave, he's got a mindset for it that I really like and I want to see, talking about how Superman's kindness seems outdated, but how they're not going to shy away from that. And hopefully that's going to give us a Superman movie that the GA is going to embrace, because they didn't seem to take to the more somber approach that Cavill and Snyder had.
I'm looking forward to Superman. I like Superman's probably, it goes back between Spider-Man and Superman. It's my second favorite. Batman's always way at the top, but I am looking forward to a new Superman film with a different take on the character. There's also The Authority, which is coming from Wildstorm once DC took in, I guess, the Wildstorm universe not too long ago, relatively soon, not that far behind
a decade ago.
Yeah, about a decade ago. There was so that's kind of a anti-hero type of group of superheroes. They're going to go with that. And then go ahead.
That feels like DC's response to The Boys' success on Amazon, because The Authority is very much like more edgelord. We're going to do whatever it takes to get it done, but we're the good guys, but we don't do good things necessarily. So I find that interesting that they're going to embrace that.
It will be interesting. Ryan, anything on The Authority?
I got nothing. So
I really don't need.
We can rapid fire through the rest of the lineup.
That's what I'm trying. Yeah. I don't have much. I don't know if I think I barely watched, maybe one time. Wasn't there Superman versus the Authority animated film a few years ago?
That was Superman versus the Elite.
The Elite, okay.
Which was their take. They were riffing on the Authority. They were an Authority type group, but Wildstorm wasn't folded into DC yet.
Okay, my bad.
So, yeah,
my bad. This isn't.
Confusing.
I'm a Batman expert, not animated DC. Okay. Interesting. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, featuring Kara Zor-El. Only thing I got on this is I wonder if it's going to be the Supergirl that's in The Flash. So we'll see. There wasn't. I did not read any clarification of that, if it was or wasn't. I just know they're doing the Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
I didn't see any, but it's worth noting for the Batman connection that they're being inspired by Tom King's Supergirl miniseries that he did. So Tom King was pointed out in some of the articles I read that he has been working on it, and he's one of the writer's room, so to speak, for James Gunn for this new DCU, which I think is awesome, because if he's there talking about Supergirl, I mean, he's got to be talking about Batman too. And he's already been working before with Ava DuVernay on New Gods once upon a time.
Ryan, Supergirl,
Tom King's heavily involved. Peter's read her miniseries, and I have yet to read it. And I don't know. Let's see.
What's the deal?
With a lot of this
King
stuff,
just not long ago. Why didn't he tell you all this stuff? Huh?
He didn't tell me anything of this. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Finishing out movies, there will be a Swamp Thing movie, which is cool. I kind of like Swamp Thing.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, let's go. I liked it. I liked the was it 8? That was back when it was what?
DC Universe.
DC Universe app. Yeah, that was pretty good series. All right, television. I'm gonna run through these quick. This is the animated series Creature Commandos. Sounds cool to me. There's the aforementioned Waller, which is basically replacing Peacemaker 2, and it's Peacemaker 2 is on hold per James Gunn because he's kind of busy. James Gunn is kind of busy. Lanterns. I like this concept as explained by Gunn and Safran more than what they were doing. This is terrestrial based, more they say like kind of a riff off of True Detective with Hal Jordan and who am I missing here?
Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart, yes.
That's a cool approach.
Yeah.
That's very HBO. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
I wonder what the True Detective thing really means though. Is it because it's going to be grittier or more mature, or is it going to be like because True Detective like changed casts every season, focus on like different people? Like, is season 1 going to be Hal and John, and then season 2 maybe we'll get Alan Scott and Guy Gardner? Or
I mean, they could, and I'd be fine with that.
be
I just think
Earth-based?
I think it's more of a detective story on Earth featuring these space cops, and maybe the crime they're investigating is a little more fantastical than just a straight up murder. It probably has something to do with something DC that's gonna some kind of.
I don't remember if it was a Variety article or Gizmodo that said that whatever mystery they're investigating plays into the larger narrative of chapter 1 and building off of that, or it's going to build off of this miniseries or series.
There's also Paradise Lost, which is a Wonder Woman prequel, basically set on Themyscira, kind of with a Game of Thrones vibe. Yeah, I can take it or leave it on this myself personally.
Oh, I'll watch it.
Boy, it is further developments. I'm not against it. I can evaluate when more announcements are made. It's further along. So,
and then there's Booster Gold, which I've long said that Booster Gold was a property that could work as a film.
I know you've championed that a little bit. Not like, what are you doing, WB? Make it happen.
I didn't start
like,
Booster Gold on film or anything like that.
No,
but I've always thought
it's coming. It's in process.
would be cool. And now you're getting it. And it's especially, it's the whole concept. What they, it's he's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back and try to pass himself off in today's world, modern world, as a superhero. So, I mean, it's like a comedy. Sounds good to me. I like Booster Gold. So let's roll. That's my take. Y'all got anything real quick on Booster Gold?
Nope. I'm ready to get to what the people came to see, Bill.
Now, since this is Batman on film, we're going to talk about Batman on film. Literally.
Hey,
Batman on film.
Whoa.
So let's start with what is being titled The Brave and the Bold. This is the DCU version of Batman. It will exist separately from the Matt Reeves / Robert Pattinson version that we currently have in the Batman movies. It will introduce the Batman family, according to Gunn. And first up to be introduced in this Batman family is Robin. And not only Robin, it will be the Damian Wayne version of Robin. So let's just get this out of the way. I'll just say, before I do that, Gunn described Damian Wayne Robin as our favorite Robin, a little son of a bitch, assassin, and murderer. So I'll just say this. I just don't have much interest in this myself personally. Yes, it's Batman on film. Batman on film. We'll probably cover it if it's here. And but this just isn't my cup of tea. And the fact it's based a lot on Grant Morrison. I'm not a huge Grant Morrison guy when it comes to Batman, to be honest. There's some things I really like, some things I just like, on. So that's my take on the Brave and the Bold. I would say, since we didn't get a date on it, it will obviously come after the Batman Part 2, which we're going to get to here shortly. And
Okay.
after
All right, here we
Superman.
go.
So yeah, go ahead. Yeah, roll.
There are two websites, Variety and Deadline, said that this slate that they announced is going to take us up to 2027.
Okay.
Hollywood Reporter did not say 2027.
Mhm.
I think I looked at the Wrap. The Wrap didn't say 2027, but Deadline and Variety both specifically said this would be basically 2025 to 2027. So that means also, Bill, when we talked last month, I wasn't confident in either answer on if I think there would be Batman overlap or not. And if the 2027 does stick, then we will have a little bit of an overlap there, which is unknown territory, which we won't.
Yeah.
We've never done that before in live
I
action
have
film
a take on that
for Batman.
I will get to that when we get to the Batman Part 2. But
we're going to experience it this summer, the first
Yeah.
time of having multiple live action Batmans at the same time. So I guess that's our first testing of like, does it work?
Yeah.
Are we kind of bugged by it? We'll wait and see. So that aspect of multiple Batman, it doesn't, I don't know. I'm like a wait and see on it. As far as Damian, I don't like Damian. I agree with 3 of the 4 statements that Gunn said about Damian. He's not my favorite Robin.
Yeah.
He is a little son of a bitch. It's I mean, if you're going to have multiple versions on like existing at the same time, make them different. Pattinson's solo.
Yeah.
This one's going to have Robin, and apparently it's going to have Bat Family coming too. So you alluded to it yesterday, said best of both worlds. I mean, for Batman fans that really want this, they're like, here comes your Bat Family. It's coming. We've also got solo Batman and Pattinson as an Elseworlds. So all that to me is, we said a long time ago, and me and Pete is, I think we're on the same boat of just give me the Batman. Anything else DC based is just gravy.
Yeah.
So I'm getting the Batman. So I'm good. Whatever else they want to do, if it's not my thing, that's okay, because I got the Batman. But
Yeah.
I'm still, even though it's Damian, I'm not fully like against it either. It's like, okay, we'll just wait and see.
I'd say real quick, just based on some of the things I've heard, because I kind of got a heads up on all this. If you noticed on Twitter or the Facebook group, I was kind of.
You should have tweeted, I know things, but I'm not going to tell you I know things.
Yeah.
What things I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
The amount of that crap going around is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But this, I'll put it this way. It wouldn't surprise me if Batmite showed up in this DCU Batman incarnation. So that kind of speaks to what is that a good example of where I was going with this?
Well, yeah. Are you talking about the Morrisonian version of Batmite where he's in Bruce's head, or are we talking like
No, I'm talking about Batmite.
No, but in
Batmite.
All right. Okay,
Straight
so like a
Batmite.
Mixus Spitlick fourth dimension.
I think they're going to lean. I don't think
like Paul Rubens.
I don't see this Batman being dark and gritty. I see it more in terms of its DNA is more forever in Batman and Robin.
Of the 3 of us, I'm the odd man out. I've been on your podcast, Bill, and I've been on the Batman Book Club, where I've expressed my love for most things Morrisonian when it comes to Batman. And I love Batman R.I.P. and all the stuff that came after it. I mean, Damian took some getting used to, but I really like the character now. I didn't back then. So I hope that people give him a chance, because I think it does bring a different dynamic, not only to the Batman, but just the fact that we've only really had Dick Grayson in live action on the movies. And so I like this take, but what it makes me curious about, because the cover he showed was from Batman and Robin, which was Dick as Batman. Like, the questions it raises is, how long has he been Batman if Superman's at the start? Because if Damian is the product of Batman and Talia, how long has this Batman been Batman? And if we're getting inspiration from Morrison's run, is it really Bruce?
It is
Or are they going to
Bruce.
go? It
It's
got
Bruce.
confirmed that it was Bruce,
It's
not
Bruce.
not Dick.
I can tell you. I can
Okay,
confirm that.
okay, because
Also,
that was my
that
question.
inspired by Tate can totally just be
Right.
the thought,
bare
the fact that
bones,
Damian
yeah.
is his. Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna adapt every single page of that Morrison Batman and Robin run or anything like that. So that's how I took it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought the Brave and the Bold was an interesting choice too. Not only because we've had that show, so there's some kind of brand identification. Um, but Tom King's got a Brave and the Bold series coming out this year that, you know, I threw my hat in the ring for covering for the site. So
My
we know
theory
Tom
on
King
that
is
naming
working.
is to further keep that the Batman and then keep Batman out of a title of another movie.
Yeah.
Is to help keep that separation.
Yeah.
I don't think that I'm smarter than anybody else in thinking that. It's just why when I read Brave and the Bold right away, that's what I just went to. I was like, oh, okay, keeping the titling a little different. So it's not,
Yeah.
hey, which one you see in the Batman part
Well-
2, or are you going to see Batman and Robin? It's like, wait, what?
Well,
To
the
a
Brave and
general
the Bold-
audience, maybe.
That title too was always Batman paired with another DC hero, so it makes sense to take homage from that, because if this is going to be the DCU Batman who's interacting in this larger universe with Superman and Swamp Thing and Lanterns, like that's a good title to stick with also.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, who says if it continues this Brave and the Bold series of films, maybe Batman headlines it, but includes other DC characters besides him and the Batman family. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
Sure.
But clearly it's two very different versions of Batman when it comes to the Brave and the Bold and the Batman stuff with Pattinson and Reeves. And you really have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a bit of where I, just my sensibilities and just from my experience with Batman and general audience, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much the general audience is going to take to a more fantastical, lighthearted Batman that exists in a world where he's mixing up with Swamp Thing, Superman, and then Batmite can pop in. That's just me. But you can't have two dark and gritty Batmans.
Do you think Damian being in this is going to preclude Reeves if he wants to do a Dick Grayson Robin?
Probably not.
Story?
I expect that Dick Grayson is Nightwing in the DCU already. I think Batman's older.
But I mean, for the world of the Batman, do you think that Reeves is going to use a Robin then, or that's not going to be in his story?
My take on that is the same as I said with the Dark Knight trilogy and Nolan, is that I'm quite sure that Reeves, like Nolan, knows the importance of Robin, quote unquote, with Batman. So there may be a story in the Batman films, the Batverse, as Reeves calls it, that includes a Dick Grayson and some form of Robin. So, but that remains to be seen. I had said before, I think, in the Batman with the mayor's son kind of laid that not it
foundation.
Being not him, the mayor's son becoming Robin eventually. That's not where I'm going. But the fact that they showed Bruce's empathy toward that kid who had lost his father, and he was the one who found his father who had been killed by the Riddler. And that was something that we saw throughout the Batman, the film. I mean, from the very beginning to the end, when, the kid was the first one to reach out his hand to take Batman's hand when he saved him at the very end. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they do something like that. So no, going a long way to answer your question, I don't think it will prevent Reeves from doing some version of Robin if he chooses to do that.
And maybe, and we wouldn't know until down the road anyway.
Yeah.
But the whatever Reeves and Gunn met to talk about, the talking points to just make sure there wasn't, air traffic controller was the term. Maybe Robin was the point of the basis of that discussion. Was a complete, do you have Robin plans? If so, what are they? If not, then I think, you know what I mean? I'm just speculating, but we wouldn't know until the trilogy, like quote unquote, the trilogy
it
also, the Batman films wraps or whatever.
It feels like also with Gunn, and this is just me speculating, but it's just a vibe I get with this Batman, this DCU Batman being so different, is that Gunn said, all right, I've got so much respect for Matt Reeves and what he's doing. And he started this before I got this gig. I'm staying out of his lane. So this DCU Batman is going to be just aesthetically and just tonally very different. And the side characters, I'm sure there'll be a Commissioner Gordon and stuff like that. But I think even the villains they would possibly use will be the villains that Reeves has no interest in doing it all.
There's crazy quote has never had a better chance than now.
Absolutely.
With James Gunn in charge. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And so if Mr. Freeze, literally frozen Mr. Freeze, wants to steal diamonds, he can do it in the DCU.
I'm still stealing diamonds.
Yes. And not necessarily
he's just walking he's walking in the background of the Batman and this Brave and the Bold movie, just looking for diamonds.
Yeah. I would warn people, not warn, but just say, hey, sometimes be careful of what you wish for, example, you got to have Robin. Want Robin. I want Robin so bad. We want Robin. Now that what they're doing, you got Robin, but it's freaking Damian Wayne, and he's 12 years old.
More fans. He's got more fans than I.
And so I saw some mini meltdowns. The fact that it wasn't 12-year-old Dick Grayson in a tunic and green pixie boots playing Robin.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
I mean, it's a total I don't know. It's something different. I will evaluate. I'll see it because it's Batman, and I'll judge it for myself.
Oh, absolutely.
And if it's something I don't like, then I'll say not for me. That's fine. I've got the Batman part 2.
Yeah, my final judgment is to see it. That doesn't mean just because it's Batman and it's Batman on film that I'm gonna go. I'm all in, and this is it. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
And I hope my statement doesn't come across as if I'm being, like a negative viewpoint or anything. I just don't. My excitement is for the Batman because that's what I love, and that's my vibe. This newly announced thing with Batman, it's like, cool, it's Batman. I'll see it. Maybe I'll get more excited as more things develop. Yeah. But I'm not one that's just kicking down doors and tearing my shirt like Hulk Hogan just because of an announcement and we don't know anything else. It's like, well, I'll wait. Sure. I'll wait and see. It's all right.
Sure. I think the frustration for some of those people is it's a different medium. You have to alter your expectations. If it was a TV show, it would be one thing, but we're never going to have this long form story with the same people. I can't see anyone making this commitment to be Batman for 20 years worth of movies. Because if you're going to get to a Damian Wayne and be comics accurate, you can't, a movie wouldn't work to have, okay, movie 1, we're going to do Dick Grayson. The second movie, we're going to do Jason. The third, we're going to do Tim. And then we're going to do a quick Stephanie movie. And then by the 5th movie, we're going to have Damian. That's not how movies work because they take time and money. And if it's not successful, they can't make more. So we're never going to have a live action, perfect, telling of this 80 almost 85-year story in live action. It's not going to happen ever, really. So I mean, you've got to change to your medium, and Damian isn't something we've seen before, and not everyone has HBO Max. But we've seen Dick Grayson in the 60s show, we've seen him in the 90s movies. He's the leader of Titans, where we've got to see that evolution from Robin to Nightwing, and we've gotten Jason and Tim in Titans as well. So it makes sense to try something new and differentiate from what came before, while still retaining some of that that those iconic elements that have been popular for so long. And yeah, Damian's probably the least traditional Robin that we've had in a while. Yeah, but that choice brings some interesting dramatic story beats that we haven't seen before. Like, how is Batman going to deal with a son that was raised by assassins, which is against his creed? Like, there's good dramatic potential there. There has been this whole time in the comics with him, and more than some of the other Robins, maybe Damian's had a really fast story arc in comparison. Like, Dick didn't get like a character arc per se until he left Batman and became Nightwing in the Titans, and that took decades to get.
I think what you jumped on at the beginning was just that it is something different, and maybe it's definitely giving some place for the story to go if the child is a nightmare. So I think that's the point right there.
Yeah,
there's also,
it's just different.
I can also see this having them going for some comedic effect, a la the Suicide Squad, with Damian chopping someone's head off and Batman going, "Now, Damian, we don't kill." And then there's, canned laughter in the background.
Yeah,
I just
go stand in the corner for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yes. So we'll see on this.
Well, I mean, we don't even know really who's writing it or
we don't know anything
directing, so
we'll see.
This is part of the ride, right, Bill?
It's part of the ride, but I am not going to be first in line, at the amusement park. I'll wait till the line goes down, and later in the day.
You're standing in line at the
That's
other
fair.
one, at the other coaster.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
You got your fast pass.
Speaking of the other coaster,
mm-hmm.
which is the Batman universe, we have a date and even a title for the sequel to the Batman, which was referred to as the Batman Part 2, and Part 2 is in Roman numerals, which I really, really hope that's the title, because I got straight up Godfather saga vibes from just, not that they're going to do Godfather stuff or it's on the level of Godfather, but it is pretty damn good. But just it being a chapter in this story, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Part 2.
Yeah.
And so fingers crossed on that. Did either you catch my tweet and post with the October 2025 calendar yesterday morning?
Mm-hmm.
No, I did not.
Yes, sir. And when the date's announced, it's funny because I told you and I were talking and we said of October 3rd, 2025, and I think I told you, I was like, holy shit, that's quick. And I'm like, wait, no, whoops, I got my years mixed up. We expected 2025. Never mind.
Yeah. So yes, I got the heads up on that. October 3rd, 2025, the Batman Part 2 will hit theaters, and
WB has found a sweet spot in October. Yeah, I forget. I apologize. I forget which article I think mentioned gave a rundown of WB's success with movies in October. So
Joker, the original Joker, for sure. So and Joker like 2 is
A Star is Born.
Okay,
was 2018. Honestly, I forget 2017, 26. But they had a good string of movies in October. Has become a good release spot for them. So that's awesome. I love that because I can wear my Batman hoodies.
Yep. I'm cool. I had thought maybe at one time that they would go to June, because that's when the Batman was originally planned to be released, and Batman movies originally, or traditionally, I should say, summer releases for the most part. But
I
hey,
wonder if they'll do Brave and the
yeah,
Bold in June and then keep
probably. I
the
would say
Batverse for like fall releases. That'd be kind of cool.
I would guess that the Brave and the Bold will be a summer release, just like Superman is, for sure, June or July. But yeah, October. It'll be a year after Joker 2.
Released in
And
October. So look at that.
yeah, and I'm hey, let's roll. Now here's my concern before I get to this next part.
All right.
That you brought up, because we talked about, you and I, Ryan, whether there would be any overlap.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, do the math. You may not have to have any overlap because, let's say Reeves does 2025 and then 2028. We were assuming that we wouldn't get a DCU project until 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, so if the last part of the Batman drops in 2028 and then they wait a year or two to introduce DCU Batman, you're not going, it's not like you're going without Batman films. So it seems, based on what we know now, there may be some overlap, unless, and this is my concern. It's a slight concern, and this is based on nothing I've heard. It's just there seems to be a desire to have one unified universe and one version of each character. It's my hope that the Batman Part 2 doesn't end the Batman saga. I hope there is the Batman Part 3. Because if there's not, then we won't have any overlap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I was talking with Chris Clow last night on the Comic Binge, and with the Batman Part 2, that means that we have to have. He said we have to have Matt Reeves, the Batman saga, Coda, the death of Bruce Wayne to follow next, just to keep in that Godfather paradigm. But I don't think it necessarily precludes the other thing. Like one precludes the other. I think for old stuff like Superman and Lois, if we get a 4th season, I think we'll be really lucky for fans of that show, because then they could finish that before Superman Legacy comes out. But in some of the articles, they still mention, the Coates J.J. Abrams thing continuing. Like they're waiting on a script, which makes me wonder if we're really going to get it. But they're still promoting it. It's not a dead project. Like they definitively said, the Green Lanterns show that Berlanti was doing is done. And with the whole Elseworlds banner, like I think we can have them coexist and even overlap, because like Ryan knows, like you can have Batman on the stands at the same time as Detective, and those are kind of in the same vein, but then we still have Return or Batman Beyond the White Knight, which is a totally different Batman coexisting.
So I do agree with that part, but that's also comics. So it is comics, but it still is untraveled territory with movies, which I'm not saying that it's not going to work at all or anything like that. It's just we haven't been fully tested with that yet. You know what I mean?
I mean, we have and we haven't. I mean, we've had various Supermen running around at the same time, kind of. And I guess you could argue that wasn't successful because Superman Returns didn't get a sequel for numerous reasons, but that was on the same time as Smallville. I think they can coexist. I mean, I don't necessarily think the Flash movie and the Flash TV show would have cannibalized each other.
No,
we never found out because of lots of factors, but
it kind of speaks to what Ryan was saying about, well, that's comics. That's also, those are niche shows aimed at a specific, very, very specific, small target audience, which are fans. Most of the general audience who went to see Superman Returns didn't watch Smallville.
So just like based on numbers, I think that the CW numbers for the superhero shows, even Flash is number 1 and had less than 1 million viewers. millions of people will see the Flash movie.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm saying of like, it's not saying that like you're wrong or anything like that. It's just, it's totally kind of what Bill's just saying. The CW audience, which I know this is a podcast, so I'm showing Javi. CW audience is like a small area, whereas worldwide audience in theaters is just incomparable to the CW. And that's not a shit on the CW network or anything like that either. It's just, I feel like that's just the difference.
Maybe
the Flash this summer is going to have Michael Keaton's Batman, while we've already had one Robert Pattinson Batman and another one coming, you know, so they're coexisting in theaters, live action, and we haven't had that with Batman before. That's uncharted territory. So we'll just see how that plays out, if general audience gives a shit or not.
We haven't, but you know, we're in a post, you know, Spider-Man No Way Home world where we've gone, like, if you look, we had Civil War, then we had Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming, then we went to the Infinity War and Endgame, and then back into Far From Home and No Way Home, which had, you know, 3 Spideys, and in between there was an Into the Spider-Verse movie. So in terms of like GA, I don't necessarily think, as long as the story's good, I don't think there's going to be a fatigue. And Gunn, I agree, and Safran mentioned that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've said that for years, that as long as the movie is good, people will go see it. The general audience really doesn't care all that much about continuity and all that goes with it, that we see as people who have read comic books since they were kids. Yeah. We get all that stuff.
Yeah, I think if The Brave and the Bold is good and the Batman Part 2 is good and they're both making lots of money, I don't see why Zaslav or WB or whoever's in charge that week would be like, nope, can't have them. Yeah. Because they're going to make so much money alone just on like merch. I
am hoping that the Elseworlds banner announcement isn't just a placeholder because they have Joker 2 and the Batman 2 coming.
Okay.
And you know, to be frank about the that Superman movie, who's J.J. Abrams. Yes. I think there's some political-esque issues to where they're not going to just come out and say that we're not doing that anymore. That thing's been going on for years and years, and it's made no headway. There's a lot of politics.
Or does it just feel that way?
It's a lot of PR as well in business right now. When these guys are talking there, and I've been to these junkets, and a lot of the quotes you hear are based on you know, they're asked questions and then they give an answer. It's not things they are now they're not actually announcing, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. So when you get a blurb like Gal Gadot and Momoa and Zachary Levi and Ezra Miller, that, you know, maybe they can return to the DCU. I don't buy that for a second. I think that's the same as Affleck at Comic-Con. Yeah. Back in the day saying, hey, I'll walk on the fucking ground like an ape for Matt Reeves, knowing right then and there he was never going to play Batman again. And he was not going to play Batman in that solo film. So you got 4 movies coming out this year.
Yeah, you're not going to shoot yourself in the foot because they're already having to deal with those people online who are like, why should I go see Shazam 2 if the universe is over?
Exactly, which that drives me insane, because you go see these movies for themselves. Now you get me on a tangent. This is something that the freaking MCU and shared universe bullshit has done. Is people literally, I think it's more with fans. It's like they go to see these films just to see what's coming next and see the cameos, and so they can see whatever's setting up things in the future. Go watch the damn movie you're paying to see right now, and watch it for the story that it is. You know, do that for Shazam 2, do that for Aquaman 2, do that for Blue Beetle, and of course the Flash. Anyway, off my soapbox. So
all right.
Sorry.
Back to the Batman Part 2.
Yes. So we get the Batman Part 2. I personally believe Matt Reeves will be able to finish whatever story he wanted to tell and it will be a 3-part trilogy, and we'll get all the peripheral shows like the Penguin on HBO
Has
same time. Yeah, as well.
the trilogy aspect, has that always just been speculation, or has he said I've got a definitive like A, B, and
Pattinson has
C?
said it.
Pattinson said it. Okay.
Patton has mentioned a trilogy a few times, so he's probably echoing what him and Reeves have talked about.
Mhm.
Ryan, thoughts? What's going through your head?
I'm excited for the Batman Part 2.
Okay. All right.
I can
All
keep
right.
it short and sweet.
All right. One last thing about the Batman Part 2. Reeves responded to, I think it was Collider's tweet about their story about the Batman Part 2 date, right? And Reeves just responds, epic, period, crime, period, saga. And I'm like, oh yeah, bring it on. An epic crime saga. So it's 3 words, but we can't really, mine a lot out of that, I don't think. But any thoughts about epic crime saga?
Let me tell you something. Matt Reeves was a tweeting machine yesterday.
Yeah.
And he tweeted 6 times, which is nuts for that guy. He will quote tweet like once every couple weeks, maybe, or tweet or something. And he did 6 yesterday.
Wow.
So that must mean that he is just like hopped up on 6 cans of Mountain Dew. So good for him. I can relate. I understand. Been there.
Let me run this past both of y'all. Micah
right.
Ramey, my son, yesterday we were talking about this. He said, you notice that every time that Matt Reeves does tweet about anything about the Batman, he always puts, it's always 3 bats. 3 bat emojis.
Micah Ramey.
And he's like, you think that means he's referring to a 3-part, part 1, part 2, part 3, a trilogy?
You know what it is? You need to run like a breaking on BOF and be like, Matt Reeves hinting that there will be 3 Batmen in the Batman Part 2.
Someone will listen to this and it'll become a story. Or say, Batman on Film is reporting that it is going to be a trilogy, and Matt Reeves has a secret code of 3 bat emojis on Twitter.
Covered in poop is making that a story right now on their site.
One bat is Keaton, one is Affleck, and one is Pattinson. They're all going to join forces in the multiverse for the Batman Part 3.
And what you said with the Part 2, and not, I mean, I don't know why it's like I'm blanking on anything else, but nothing else comes to mind of a Part 2 like that, and part or anything other than The Godfather, and that's just because you would just know the connection of the Batman and Godfather and stuff. So that's what I thought right away. And I know you posted that on BOF that you thought with the Part 2 epic crime saga. Like, hell yeah, we kind of, it's not surprising. We're not going to sit here and act like, well, yeah, we knew this or anything like that. After one movie, but the direction that it sounds the Penguin's going. And then to like this, it's all adding up that it is going to be an excellent crime saga, like he even said. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it looks like that. He's also said it's the focus will again be in the Batman Part 2 and in any of these films. The focus is on Bruce Wayne as well. It'll always be on Bruce Wayne.
Good,
but I just like you said, Ryan, them saying that the Penguin will lead into the Batman Part 2, and there will be a little story thread that will be included in the sequel. And then with the epic crime saga, I just said, it just seems like he's going, because you can argue like the Dark Knight trilogy are 3 different kind of films, your Batman Begins is your classic origin story. The Dark Knight is heat, urban crime, thriller. Yeah. And then the Dark Knight Rises is the conclusion, and it's a war movie essentially. There's different and even it seems like that Reeves is going this one route, this one genre type of story. Crime, gritty, street level, organized mafia and stuff like that. So any thoughts about that, guys?
Go ahead, Javi. I've been talking a lot.
I like that idea, because for people who want to see something more fantastic, like maybe like one of the more outlandish villains, they can have that over in the DCU, and Reeves can just he's more free to stay in his lane now, without people like, well, are you going to do Clayface, or are you going to do Man Bat? Like, he doesn't have to worry. I would hope that he's not going to get badgered by those types of questions as much now, because there's an outlet and an avenue for those characters to appear in, and that can give him more of a focus on the story that he wants to tell. So I think,
Yeah.
We definitely got the crime drama aspect out of Nolan, but that, like the comics themselves, they kind of waned over time.
Wayne.
You know. But I think it's going to be really, really cool and interesting if we keep like that drive and that vision and that tone consistent through all whatever properties we get. And it'd be really interesting if, you know, we don't know what's going to come between part 2 and afterwards, because we still have all these other series floating around as possibilities. It'll be interesting to see how that tone carries over and what.
That's funny you say that, because I was going to say that with the still in development Arkham series, which feels like an outlier, because it's like, how can that be part of an epic crime saga then?
Yeah.
An Arkham series. Not saying that I wouldn't want it because it wouldn't fit or whatever, but Reeves is in charge of that. So it's like, ooh, how would he make that fit into this thing that is seeming like a crime driven story? So I don't know. I mean, I'd be watching it, obviously.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, bottom line is there'll be a lot of Batman on film to talk about in the next several years. And for people who are fans or just as big fan of the overall DC universe, there's a lot of DC universe stuff coming. I would say I'm excited for the new Superman film, Booster Gold. I'm just off the top of my head what's coming. And
as soon as they announce Austin Butler as the DCU Batman, I
Yeah.
think you'll change your gears. You'll do
Yeah.
a 90-degree turn. Wait. Hold on
Yeah,
a second.
that
Let's
would-
see.
Oh, that would be amazing.
yeah. So
An Elvis
yeah.
talking Batman.
Yeah. All right. So I got nothing else, y'all. So
No, I
y'all
think
have any
for
final
better,
words, or are y'all ready to
perfect
plug?
breakdown. You want to hear more from the BOF? Like, listen to the episode that Garrett led that you're dropping, because I think they broke it down pretty darn good.
Yeah.
About the extended vision and plan. I'm excited for it overall. I am.
Yeah.
It's there's stuff coming, and some I'm, as of right now, more excited to see how it develops more than some others. But that doesn't mean I'm evaluate like I do any other movie or TV show. If it looks like something I'm interested in, cool, I'll watch it. If not, I'll just pass and get on with my day, because I know that the Batman part 2 is coming. So
that's exactly where I'm at, because even where I'm going, like, there's some of these, like the Brave and the Bold thing is not really my deal. I go right back to, well, there's still the Batman part 2. There's still the Penguin. Yeah. There's still probably the Batman part 3. There's still Arkham. There's still maybe a Catwoman series. So I'm good. My Batman is I'm covered for the next few years at least. Javi?
I mean, I got really excited by all the announcements yesterday. Granted, you have to kind of temper that, because it's not like a comic where they announce it and then 3 months later it's on the shelf. Like, they announced a whole bunch of stuff and it's 2 years away. But for me, it's like what got me excited is that I get to have my cake and eat it too. I get to keep going with the Batman universe, which I really loved, but I also get different takes, because some days, like, I feel like watching Batman the animated series as I have breakfast, and then other days I feel like having the Brave and the Bold. there's a Batman for like almost every mood that you could possibly be in, like some days I want to watch an Adam West episode, and some days I want to watch The Dark Knight. But it's all like Batman at its core, and that's what I love about the character is he's been around for so long and survived so many different stories, both good and bad, that it hasn't broken him yet. So I don't feel that having a Brave and the Bold movie with Damian is necessarily gonna take away from anything else, because that all that other stuff is still there. It's not canceling the other thing out. So I'm excited for all of it, because it's just one more Batman thing I get to add to my ever-growing list of Batman things to watch in my free time and frolic about with. So
Preach.
I'm happy for both, man. I'm going to be there front and center, get my tickets as soon as I can for both of them. So
yep.
Ryan, plug.
Ooh, okay. Go to batmanonfilm.com, batman-on-film.com. And I have reviews, podcast episodes, articles, posts, all that good stuff all over batmanonfilm.com. Upcoming is going to be the Batman number 132 review. Stick around for that. Also, check out my podcast, The Batman Book Club, which Bill is kind enough to post every episode on batmanonfilm.com. So go there for that. Most recent episode was with old Boudin Pockets himself, Peter Vera, where we talked new Batman comics in January, and go ahead and dip back to the episode before that, where I got to sit down for a long discussion with Tom King. So check that out, Batman on Film, or wherever you get your podcast.
You know what?
The Batman
Tom
Book
King,
Club on Twitter
Tom
at the
King.
Batman BC.
Tom King, that son of a bitch, didn't tell you a dadgum thing about what he was doing behind the scenes.
He didn't,
podcast.
and I can't believe it.
You need to give him a good what for.
Yeah, I'll message him. I'm like, how dare you, sir? Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, what the hell's going on here, Tom? Tommy boy?
Javi.
Well, I mean, you can find me on batmanonfilm.com. I'm reviewing, what am I reviewing, Bill? Gotham City Year One, which is
What aren't you reviewing?
Freaking awesome. all the ancillary things. And the Batman, the new, what is it called? Batman The Adventures Continue, season 3.
Yeah.
I've got that coming out in a couple weeks to talk about. I recently I appeared on the Comic Binge a lot in January, it feels like. And if you're a Batman fan, Lauer and I were both on for their series within the series. Is it bad, or it? And we talk about The Dark Knight Strikes Again with Paul Herman and Chris Clow, and that was an interesting conversation, trying to break down that storyline. And then just personally, I've got 007 reviews on the JamesBondDossier.com talking about the new comic series, and exclusive tease. I'm working on my own solo project about the Flash, because like we're like, Batman's like my top tier character, but second to that, like my favorite DC character that's not Batman related is Wally West. And I've been toying with this idea for like 4 years now, and I'm trying to get it underway, within the month, where I'll start breaking down issue by issue the Wally West Flash run. So
Sweet.
Look for that soon. Up to
There
speed
you go.
with Wally West.
I should have mentioned also Batman Animation. BatmanOnFilm.com. Check out the Batman Animation show. The last episode dropped was Javi talking Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, and the next episode that'll come up will be me and Bill actually talking Scooby-Doo, Batman Brave and the Bold. So
Yeah.
keep your eyes out for that.
I still need to catch that. I haven't watched it. Is it still up on
I've-
Max, or is it gone?
You've never seen it?
I never
Wow.
because I was waiting for a
Put that
Blu-ray.
Batman
It was
glass
only
down.
It was only.
Bill,
a
take his
DVD.
fan card. Take his fan card.
Bat
Get out
card. Gotta, come on. Turn it over.
Yeah, it's still on. It's still on HBO Max.
All right, maybe I'll get to it this week.
But I think you should be buying it. It's worth owning. If you're disappointed by
It
it,
is.
Javi,
It
I
is
will
worth
reimburse you. I
In all
promise you.
seriousness, it's
Okay.
good. It's
Oh yeah,
good.
absolutely.
All right. Let's see. Okay, just as both of these guys mentioned, you can find my stuff at batman-on-film.com. And if you want to support a lot of these podcasts, go to the Batman Podcast Network that are mentioned, and you'll find them there. And it's on Batman on Film proper. Just find the logo or the drop-down box from podcasts. You'll find all those shows. You want to advertise on Batman on Film, advertisecast.com/Batman on Film. And then, of course, you can become you can also support Batman on Film on Patreon, patreon.com/Batman on Film. That's all I got. Thanks for listening. Announcer Rachel will take us out, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jett's official vlog and podcast on Batman on Film. Follow Jett on Twitter @BatmanOnFilm. Follow the BOF newsfeed on Twitter @TheBatmanOnFilm. For Jett and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, established in 1998.